I'm Amanda of For a Good Cause, and today I am speaking with the founders of Foreknown Ministries, Alyson and Kelsi. Thanks to you both for being here, and if you both want to just take a moment to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, my name is Alyson, and my husband, Jono, and I have been living here in Colorado Springs since we got married. So about 13 years. We are both originally from Texas, and I remember very specifically telling him once we got married that I would give him 1 year in Colorado and then we would be back in Dallas. And 13 years later, we are still here. So we are enjoying the mountains and the weather. We have two sweet girls, Millie and Maddie, that we just feel so blessed to raise here as well.
Mm-hmm. And my name is Kelsi Cole, and also residing in the beautiful Colorado Springs with my husband, Ryan, of 15 years, and our daughter, Kennedy, who is 12 in 7th grade and dealing with all the challenges that middle school brings. So it's a good time. It's a good time. Thanks for having us, Amanda.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you. So before we dig into fundraising strategies and all of those fun kind of conversations, can you both share a little bit about your personal connection to Foreknown Ministries, why the mission exists, how your own experiences have shaped the organization, and how you run the organization?
Yeah, absolutely. So Kelsi and I were very fortunate. We met when we worked at a retreat center here in Colorado Springs. And back in 2017, we found out that we were both pregnant at the same time. I was expecting our daughter, Cora, and Kelsi was expecting their son, Whitson. And in 2018, January 24th, specifically, I discovered that our daughter, Cora, had lost, or she had passed away. Her heart had stopped beating just 2 days before I was scheduled to be induced. Fast forward 2 weeks, and Kelsi unfortunately went through the same experience with their son, Whitson, at the same point in her pregnancy. And so what started off obviously as what a gift to have just such a dear friend. Now we were really leaning on each other so much more after walking through such a tragic loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was truly like the summer or spring into summer of 2018 that we just asked a lot of questions, Amanda, like how often does this happen? And more importantly, where are parents going to for support, practical needs, but also emotional help and even spiritual help, because death is a very spiritual experience, no matter what walk of faith you come from, or even if you're not a person of faith. And so in those questions, we found out that there just wasn't a lot of hope-filled resources out there for parents. And so out of our grieving season, we really felt like God was saying, I want you to do something with your experience, and really shine hope and even joy on just the pain of grief, the pain of loss. And so Foreknown Ministries actually started on October 15th of 2018, which is known as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day, with October being the month specifically. And like any good millennial organization, we started on social media, just truly spitting out just the daily encouragement that we ourselves so desperately needed. What started with social media led into hosting weekend retreats for moms who had experienced any type of pregnancy or infant loss, just to come share their experience, but also share it in the support, asking those questions of how did you do it? Because I need that same playbook, really learning how to form a community of support for one another. Now Foreknown offers those retreats for both women as well as couples, because we know that if a mom is grieving, a dad typically is well. Maybe might look a little bit differently. It typically always does from the mom. But yet at the same time, what a beautiful place for both a husband and a wife to be able to come together, to not only support each other, but also to process their grief individually as well. Now Foreknown offers one-on-one as well as couples coaching. And we also provide courses for both women, men, and also healthcare professionals, because we have heard over the years from just hundreds of bereaved parents that have experienced this type of loss that they have had a less than awesome experience in the place that they either delivered their baby or they found out really bad news, a prognosis or whatnot, and it was just handled with not the best care that it could have been. And so to provide that truly that training for healthcare professionals on what does it look like to provide the best possible experience for a parent who has just experienced the loss of their child. So to say it's been a journey in the making over the last 7 years is truly an understatement. But it truly is just such a passion project. Clearly, obviously, it's been drawn from our own personal pain, but yet we're so grateful to be able to be there for others in their time of need, as we so desperately needed it ourselves.
Yeah, that's really beautiful and very inspiring.
Thank you.
And so you did such a wonderful job explaining the mission and advocating for like the passion behind the mission. For those who aren't familiar, can you explain what the Wave of Light event is and why it's so meaningful to your core, like the core way that you serve your community, and how it fits into like your fundraising and promotion of your cause?
Yeah. So Wave of Light originally started with President Reagan, and it started as a national movement where on October 15th at 7 p.m. in people's respective time zones, they will light a candle in remembrance of their baby or babies that they lost, thus creating a wave of light throughout the country. After 2020, we really felt impressed upon us that, people were used to being alone, used to being at home, and we really are firm believers that we cannot do anything outside of community. We need community and other people to support us and walk alongside of us. So we created Colorado's only statewide in-person event on this date, where we invite families to come together to see with their eyes other families who are experiencing something very similar to them, in the hopes that they'll be reminded that they're not alone. We light 50,000 pink, blue, and white lights in just remembrance of not only the babies being represented there that evening, but all of the other ones that are not being represented. It's a really strong visual image, and I would say it's very impactful of just the magnitude of loss. 1 in 4 pregnancies is reported to end in loss. But the reality is it's more like 1 in 3. And so that means you either are someone, you know someone, or you will know somebody who's going to go through loss. So having those resources there in person, we have local resources throughout Colorado Springs that come together to say, I'm here to support these families. I have resources for you or programs that you can use. We light a water lantern where families can write a sweet little message to their baby in heaven, which is a really sweet, tender moment. And then we have an encouraging message, a message of hope at the end of the night, where we really talk to people about, you don't have to stay in this place in your pain. Like, there is hope after loss. Like Kelsi said earlier, there can be joy. And here's how you can find that. Here's how you can get plugged in to Foreknown Ministries or other local resources throughout town.
Mm-hmm. And the Wave of Light is really great because, first and foremost, it is a remembrance event for families throughout all of Colorado. But secondly, it is the main fundraising event of Foreknown Ministries, as we truly believe that the resources that we want to offer should be affordable and accessible to anyone who needs it at any time in any place. And by hosting the Wave of Light, being that fundraising event, we are able to get so many more resources out to bereaved parents well past our state borders. Part of the Wave of Light, Amanda, is our Forever Known fundraiser, and it's our amazing fundraiser that we host for this event where people are able to not only share their stories of loss and hope, but also to support one another in that peer-to-peer fundraising regard. And so by sharing their story, they're saying, come with me on this journey, not just supporting my family, but the other families who either have experienced this or will experience this in the year to come. And so they're able to really use their story in a way that gives back to honoring their child, but also for the next family.
I know you kind of mentioned this a little bit, but what makes this event emotionally different from like a typical fundraiser? Like, what are the challenges around like a delicate memorial like this, and then also like fundraising at the same time, or the sense of community and healing that it provides?
Yeah. I would say one of the unique opportunities that we have is I think we're on the front of changing people's opinion about loss, because for so long people didn't talk about it, or it was just a woman's issue. And so we are really trying to change the verbiage around that, kind of pull back the rug, if you will, and say, no, this affects the entire family unit. So when we are going out and fundraising, we're presenting a new way to look at pregnancy and infant loss and invite people into that. So I think that in and of itself, one, is beautiful because you're really getting to spread factual change, but also it's hard because it's not something that people want to talk about. I mean, it's not what we want to talk about, but somebody has to be out there and to advocate for all of these families who are having to silently carry that.
We always joke, Amanda, about how we want to walk out into an event with like sound effects, like hype music, have
Britney
a good walk-in song.
Yeah.
You know, have a good walk-in song, but
Right.
that's not really the industry in which we operate in.
Yeah. Yes.
What makes the Wave of Light such a unique event is that it is somber. It is more of a remembrance event, but yet, like Alyson said, when we can walk alongside both like carrying the pain, but also the hope that we have at the same time, it truly is a beautiful invitation to invite community into sharing that hope, not just with the practical support of finding a community as parents who've been there, but truly we believe that the hope of heaven changes everything, because we're able to talk about, like, as a believer, I grieve a little bit differently because I grieve with the hope of knowing that I'm going to see all of my babies again one day in heaven. And granted, while Foreknown, is a ministry, we are faith-based. We are not faith-pushed. And so we want people just to take that next right step, whatever feels right for them, whether that's getting plugged into a support group, whether that's signing up for our amazing texting community where people can just text in and receive immediate encouragement and support. Of course, always referring them back to their healthcare provider, but just encouraging them to take their next step in their grief journey, no matter where they're at right now.
And an event of this size, so what are the biggest logistical or even like emotional responsibilities around grief care like this that you are carrying as organizers of the event?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So this has always been a delicate dance for both Alyson and I, because we are the only two paid employees on the payroll of Foreknown Ministries, and we heavily rely on a solid group of core volunteers that really show up and show out every October. But it's not just October. I mean, we start planning this event in March, where we have a planning committee that comes together. And so to say that we wear a lot of hats is an understatement, but we could not do it without the help of some amazing volunteers. So logistically speaking, you have everything from the electricity of 50,000 pink, blue, and white lights and running all of the electrical cord around acres of property to really create this visual, stunning display. And then also we are holding, not just the agenda and the itinerary of the whole night, but yet being present with the person that's right in front of us. Alyson and I at this last Wave of Light, we had a sweet opportunity to both have an amazing conversation with a woman who I believe was in her 80s. Said, this is the first opportunity that I've had to really, truly grieve my daughter, whom I lost decades ago. And so it was just a beautiful invitation to meet, incredible people who have, again, shared that same pain. We know very similar pain, but yet at the same time to be uniquely present with the people that it's right in front of us is such a challenge, but also what an opportunity and what a gift when we can take off those logistical hats and really be present with empathy and care. It's a gift.
I love that. Okay, so I really personally enjoyed hearing about all of the mission, and now we're going to get more into fundraising strategy and that kind of thing. So before using For a Good Cause, what platforms were you using for online giving, but also running the event? What combination of tools, what was helping you carry that big logistical burden, especially with a team of 2 paid employees and a handful of volunteers? So how are you all piecing that together?
Yes. Good question.
So we had used 2 different platforms for giving. One was Tidely and the other was DonorBox. Had no complaints about the giving side of it. But when you added on the element of an event and having tickets and fundraising and peer-to-peer fundraising, we added on a component that DonorBox offered within that package. And we ran the event through that 1 year. Yep, 1 year. And it did not go well.
Yeah, we couldn't have gotten back to For a Good Cause quicker.
Yeah. We had done it 1 year with For a Good Cause, switched over to DonorBox, and then have been back to For a Good Cause. And it's just been so smooth and intuitive and easy to ticket an event, to take donations, to sell items, to fundraise. Especially like Kelsi said, just the 2 of us wearing all of the hats, knowing that Ronald has done such a good job creating training videos and responding to emails. It lifts a burden from us when we're in the midst of trying to put on this event for hundreds of people.
Because of all of the hats that we wear and all of the balancing of the logistics, as well as just caring for people during the actual event itself, the last thing that we want to be doing or worrying about is the people that show up and they're not able to check in smoothly. They're not able to receive their t-shirt that they signed up for during the ticketing process, right? Our job is to eliminate as many obstacles as we possibly can for these parents to come and receive the encouragement and hope that they need. And so whatever program that looks like, and granted, we've been through some programs, the main goal is to truly relieve as many obstacles for those parents as possible.
Are a lot of your event attendees not only memorializing someone that they loved and lost, but are they also often your regular donors?
A lot of them are. And that's the nice, I hate to use the term customer journey, if you will, but it truly is a journey in the sense that most of the people that we are so fortunate to work with, they come on board as a bereaved parent. And then eventually they turn around and say, I actually want to help someone. What would it look like for me to give back and maybe volunteer the next year or maybe in 2 years? And then eventually most of those people turn into supporters. AKA donors, and then eventually, hopefully, lifelong champions where they are truly coming alongside Foreknown on a monthly consistent basis with regular support.
What does it look like from a donor experience and donor journey? The tools you've used, or, if you're, with For a Good Cause now, do you feel like your donors are getting more of like a careful journey in such a delicate time? Or is it easier for them without all like the hiccups when this is a really special moment for families to come together and, honor their loss and, in community, right? And so having hiccups or difficulty just like smoothly moving through the process, I would think would like mess with that feeling or that like the depth of connection or like, what's going on in that person's like mind during that time.
With every event that we have, everyone procrastinates in signing up because they know it's something they should do. But yet the pain of actually signing up, buying that ticket, committing to any event that we do can be a really hard first step for so many people. And so we always receive, a mass amount of signups, right? I mean, days, if not hours before the event itself, which adds, logistical complications in and of itself too. But again, it comes back to like eliminating those obstacles. When parents show up, are they greeted with, with not like a fake excitement, but a genuine, authentic welcome? Those are the different things throughout the event that we have to think of. And if there's hiccups in the check-in process as they're, they can't find their t-shirt, they can't find their order form to receive the things that they want to receive and that they signed up for. Or think about it this way, like, let's say I purchase my ticket and I sign up for a memorial light that has a blue light. It has my son's name written on it. And for some reason I don't get that. That's devastating because it's almost a loss on top of a loss, because in a grieving season, our emotions are heightened and sometimes to a very dramatic degree, but that is grief. That is the roller coaster of any grief. And so to make that as smooth as possible is a huge and vital goal.
Yeah. Amanda, I think another way to look at it is For a Good Cause allows us so many opportunities to personalize pages and verbiage and buttons. I mean, fields. Fields. You can personalize all of it, which essentially allows us to hold the customer's hand while they're going through this checkout process. And like Kelsi said, that is so important for us to not only be accessible, but feel like we're accessible even in this checkout process. Our goal at Wave of Light is to get it all planned, get all the pieces in order, give our volunteers their marching orders, and then for the two of us to be at that front door greeting every single person that comes in. Because that's what they need, is to feel seen and to feel known. And we both feel like For a Good Cause allows us to do that, just even in small ways in that checkout process.
That kind of leads me to another question. You kind of answered this, but I do want to kind of circle back and hear your thoughts on it. So where did you, when the event started growing and the amount of people that you were serving was growing, where did you start to feel like friction or limitations with the like tech stack or software that you were using at that time? Or another way to think of it is like, how did the prior way you were doing things feel like limiting to your team, kind of interfering with that like feeling that you wanted to provide to people?
I got it. I got this. So back to what I was saying about how grief is so deeply personal to each and every single person. Yes, we might have experienced the same type of loss, but yet it's totally different because they were two totally different people. That is how grief is so unique. We need to be able to provide such a customizable experience for each person that comes to our event. And that is simply not even doable with DonorBox. The amount of customizations, like Alyson said, that we are able to add into even just one person's registration because it needs to be so unique. I don't believe any platform could really honestly come close. You know, like organizations, like whether that's DonorBox, Tithely, Classy, that say they offer event support, there is not a lot of support. And I will speak to the customer service side of it, because with the year that we use DonorBox, I feel like we developed their event platform for them with all of the emails that we sent to them almost daily, Amanda, because we would run into hiccup after hiccup of ways that we couldn't customize and make it more user-friendly. And with For a Good Cause, Ronald has put so much dedication. I don't know what his daily schedule looks like, but that man responds to us within hours, which is insane and kind of unheard of. And I don't know if that's, you know, the normal. But that attentiveness and customer service has, I mean, no other program, honestly, for us has even come close.
He makes you feel like you're his number one
And only.
and only. Now we are praying that we're not his only, but that kind of just care, like he just cares well, which is, like Kelsi said, so unheard of nowadays and so refreshing.
Any question, he has an article that he'll send you like within an hour. Or I mean, the amount of help that he has offered us, and not even personalized help, not even just sending us, here's how to do it yourself. What he has offered to do himself, again, no one else does that.
Yeah, he's a really wonderful person. And he's great to work with. We love to hear it. We love to hear like that we're solving problems. And was there a moment when you thought like, oh, this is actually working the way we needed it to? Like, how did that feel when you kind of like hit that moment when you started using For a Good Cause?
Life-giving. You know, I think in the nonprofit world, it just comes with a lot of challenges. And I think after we left DonorBox with, sadly, just such a poor experience, it's almost like your guard is up and you're just kind of bracing yourself for, okay, this person is selling me something. The last time that happened, they didn't follow through on it. So how am I going to, it's like you don't trust people right away anymore, which is sad because you don't want to be that way. But so often that's what you run into. And so when Ronald started promising things and then those things started happening, it was like, oh, it's like you can just breathe a little bit deeper. Like, oh, this is going to be okay. This isn't going to be as much of a fight or just a slog to get through as it was last time. But this really feels like a company that we can trust that is actually going to do and provide what they say they're going to do.
You once your everyday giving, like your online regular giving and your events all lived in the same system?
Well, that's been about like 5 days now. So we're not quite sure yet.
We're still discovering.
Hopefully it's been a great 5 days. I would assume that it is. So.
But the simplicity of just having all of the information in one location is so beneficial because, yeah, it's less to remember. It's for us and our donors. Yeah. And so to have that one go-to location where everything truly is in there, it's handled, it's everything we need is wonderful. Yeah.
What are you now spending your time on now that your tech things are solved? Like, you know, in the organization.
Finding more donors.
Yes.
In all honesty, because and what's funny that Ronald actually led a webinar, I think at the beginning of this week, that we just randomly signed up on because it came out before a Good Cause newsletter. And I believe it was like how to convert one-time givers into recurring givers. And that has always been a huge strategy for Foreknown from the get-go, because we were given a very solid model of fundraising and what that looked like. But yet at the same time, recurring donors can be a very large revolving door. I am shocked and pleasantly surprised at how small of a crack in that door that has been for Foreknown. We are so blessed with faithful, amazing donors that have been with us almost for the long haul, which is such a gift. Now, we want to obviously grow those donors, but also just introduce Foreknown to so many people. Because like Alyson said, it's either you have been through it, you know someone who has, or you're going to walk with someone who will. And so to be able to not only share the mission, but say, you know, we run off of faithful supporters just like you. Will you join our Foreknown Foundations team with a recurring monthly gift and help support the next parent who is in this boat? It's really cool.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Are there things that you're able to imagine or plan for now that felt too difficult before? Like even certain goals that you want to hit, in 2026?
I would say, we definitely have fundraising goals. And I think what is, dare I say, exciting, I've never used exciting and fundraising in the same sentence before, but is just the wealth of knowledge and resources that are given to us from For a Good Cause. Just in that newsletter that comes out, it's one of the newsletters that we look forward to reading instead of just deleting from your inbox. And just knowing that there's such rich material to that and so many new ways and strategies to look at donors and recurring donors and developing that, and just kind of the playbook on how to do that. I think that truly is exciting and really gets our gears or wheels spinning, dreaming about, what could we do different? What could we add to what we're doing now? And how will that change in 2026?
Mm-hmm. We're not fundraising coaches. Gosh, I sure wish we were, because it would make our jobs a lot easier. But one thing that I'm really looking forward to really diving into more and is donor development. I'm really excited about pouring into that next year because, again, with For a Good Cause, I feel like with the customizations as far as just the messaging and the communication that we can now give to our current donors, not only are we going to see higher donor retention rates, but we're going to see just a better relationship with our donors. So hopefully more involvement from our donors, more participation, whether that's the Wave of Light event or financial prayer, right? We need that support in so many different ways. So
last question as we wrap up. What advice would you give to other small to mid-sized nonprofits, whether in the space of grief care or pregnancy loss care, or any org? What are your top tips as far as connecting with donors or making even the people that you're serving feel cared for? Whatever you like. So what would you want everyone to know when we end this call?
Well, nonprofit work, like Alyson said, is hard work. The way that we like to describe it is that it's a tragic honor to be able to do what we do. We never would have wished that we would have had the stories that we have walked through and have journeyed together. But at the same time, we're able to be there for people on such a deeper level, empathetically, that most people can't even supernaturally possess. With that, nonprofit work is hard work. A lot of times, especially in the cases of grief, people want to do something with their grief. It's very common for people to be like, well, I'm going to start a 5K, after the loss of my son. I'm going to start an organization. That is no small feat. Rarely are we ever going to discourage anyone from pursuing that dream, but they don't, in naivety, they have zero concept of what that effort really looks like on that back end. Having solid partnerships, not just with donors, but key influencers in that area, whether that's local churches, counselors, hospitals, I think is truly key for building not just relationship, but for spreading the word that we even exist. We're so grateful for the hospital partnerships alone that we have throughout Colorado, Kansas, Utah, just the whole area that have our resources, because they're able to say there are parents out there who have been right where you are, that have, who know exactly what you're going through, because they're in a hospital for maybe upwards of 72 hours, and yet they're facing a lifetime of grief ahead of them. And so how can they give them our information, to really change the trajectory of their healing journey? It's huge. So to answer that question, we actually referred someone else to For a Good Cause recently, and it's someone else who's in the same space that we are in pregnancy and infant loss, because we just truly believe that we can do so much more together for this cause than we can ever do apart. And when we shoulder each other up and say, no, I actually found a great platform, a great giving platform that's super affordable, but yet best customer service ever, can really set her up for a better foundation moving forward in her organization as well.
Yeah. If I were encouraging a new nonprofit, I would just acknowledge the fact that asking for money is hard. It can feel icky sometimes, but the challenge is to switch your mindset, because, and you can help me remember the name of this book, there are certain people that are called to support your organization, and you are giving them an invitation to do that. So it's not coming from a place of, I need this, I need that. It's coming from a place of, I want to invite you into this mission because we're about to change the world, and I want you to be a part of that. And I don't want to do this without you. Do you remember what that book was?
The God Ask.
Oh, there it is. The God Ask.
Yep.
And so I know that personally, that was something that I struggled with at the beginning, but what a gift it is to tell your story to people and to see their reaction of, oh my goodness, I can't believe what you've walked through and what you're starting, whatever it is. And then to just give them that invitation to go along that journey with you. It's been really sweet and such a blessing to be on the receiving end of those conversations. When people are like, I would love to, here I am, let's do this. And it's just that extra support, on those hard days when, the nonprofit world can be the nonprofit world. Just to know that you've got that support system behind you of people that are championing you, not just financially, but in their support and prayers as well.
I feel like you tied it up with a bow perfectly. Thank you both for your time and sharing a bit of your story and your experience with us. And thanks for all that you are doing in your community and the broader grief care and pregnancy loss community.